The LPGA Tour of Korea rolls along to event number 16 of 34 this season, and we are live from H1 for round 1 of 3 on this Friday, the Hoban Seoul Shinmun Women's Classic, the first playing of this tournament, and we are off to a very good start out on course with the score to beat today, a pretty scintillating opening round of 63. That was a 9 under. That was carded earlier in the day. Despite starting on hole number 10, it did nothing to slow EJ on down. She has a 3-stroke advantage heading into round number 2, and the field that remains, well, they are either just finishing their 9th hole, hitting the turn, or they're on to the back 9. Let's go right out to 9. This is Yuhei Ran putting from the fringe. A long way to make it back across the green. She has a pretty good amount of weight control here. She will leave that effort remaining for what she will hope will be the second and final putt. As you will have seen right away, here at H1 we are playing the 2-green system. It will change depending on the hole for the course of this weekend. For example, here at 11, the field is attacking this right side green up from Hoban Seoul. Dealing with the wind well, you can see it's starting to pick up. These conditions are far from ideal, pretty gusty and overcast. If there's some solace, it's the fact that it is cooler out there today. Song Gaeun putting from the fringe as well. She catches a bit of the outside edge but will not fall. So she will par to go out 1 over par. The midway mark of her opening round, a 37 on the way out. Her bogey would come at number 8. Well, a decent first effort that will leave 5 meters and a quick exchange from the wedge to the putter for Park Young. We'll scoot over to 11. Lee Seung-yeon playing her 4th. Still with 109 meters to make up here. Picks up some velocity and will take her all the way off the back right of the green. Found herself in some trouble after the 3rd shot. Was only able to get 8.3 yards with her 4th after sending it left from the trees into the rough. While EA1, it is a 3 under opening round. Pretty good little score to start the tournament off. Park Young, who is 3 under and hoping to stay there with this 2.5 meter putt for par. Done.
자연스럽게 나가거든. 라인.
약간 탔긴 했어요.
And now Yuhei Ran using her extra power to get herself in between the greens with her 2nd shot. That leaves just a short birdie to eradicate the bogey she had at 8. It is a 33 for her at the turn. Obviously a hole out would be ideal and would minimize the damage, but Lee Seung-yeon just hoping to keep this close. She's done that.
거기서 그냥 바로 펴지는 걸로 보는 게 나을 것 같은데 훅보다는.
with that bogey secured at 11. Let's head back to the tee at number 10, the first hole of the lake course. There goes the A1. Dogleg left from the fairway and pretty straight shot. This is one where it is identical yardages, the left green and the right green, and at number 10 it is the 10th that they are searching for. We've seen 2 eagles here already today, 21 birdies. Tee shot. As it stands, 11 players level at this 3-under mark, though there are only 5 of them still out on the course. .250 yards she's averaging with driver this season. 76% fairways in regulation. Sung Gaun, she's averaging 235.4 yards per drive and a 78% fairways in regulation. That balanced pretty well. It's the putter relative to the rest of her game. The greens in regulation haven't quite been up to standard for her either, but she has been steady. We assume this to be a formality, and in the end it is. A stumble, but time for a recovery as she heads to the 12th tee. Meanwhile, to 13. Over the trees into the narrow fairway from the bunker across to the rough, only 13 meters of width. One bogey on the round for Park Young coming at the par 5 9th. Birdies at 4, 6, 7, and 11. She is able to clear the rough, clear the sand, and land between the greens. That will help set up just a short chip, but would not wanted to have missed with an opportunity to move into a tie for 5th. Back with her in a moment. In the meantime, Hoban Seoul, also from the rough, 83 meters is her remaining yardage. Just hangs on to the fringe. That's likely a putt for Hoban Seoul. I know she's got a good short game, but with the uphill, I wouldn't be surprised to see her go for the flat stick. 11 meters down for Sung Gaun. Straight shot, buck 49. She's on the front quarter, and that will be a lengthy first putt that she will have to try and muster up. Has herself 8th in the money list, 7th in the points this season. Of course, that is vastly improved following her win almost a month ago now at the Table House Day Open. from my perilous position. Closer to the left green than the right, and a little flopper will have to be next for EA1. Had her lead atop the rookie standings drastically decreased after Union's win last week at the Ever College and Queen's Crown. Just 142 points separating them in the rookie list at the moment. Ran, she is within 19 points of Peng Minji, the most points this season. As you can see, these greens are not playing soft whatsoever in this opening round. Another bounce right off the back. Gets the bulk of the work done. Just outside of a meter, she'll be putting for par. Does go for the putter, can't find the joy from the fringe. Short par in the end, she'll stay at T9. And par is well secured at number 13. Those two trading shot for shot at the minute at 3 under. That's a brilliant shot. Lots of ground to make up for EA1. She leaves herself with nothing more than a little tap for par. She had a lot of green to work with and definitely made the most. Just an absolutely brilliant rookie season in progress. He's 19 years of age, 6 in the season-long money list. That is for everyone who's been on tour, not just in the rookie season, but could be on tour for 10 years and she'd be right up there with the best. She did miss the cut of the Table House D Open, took last week off. She'll be looking for a big bounce back with just one top 10 finish this month. Macomb Mona Park Open with SBS Golfer, she was tied for 5th. This is a very, very tricky third shot at 10 for Yuhei Ran. You land this too short, you're not getting yourself on the green. You take too much. Par is out of the question, but she plays that brilliantly. Exactly where she would have wanted it. Off the fringe, slowed up. Young goes long again. She's making her way back towards the front right of this green. Will tail away in the end, almost finished pin high. Well, if she could get this entire 15.2 meters through Sunggaon, she would get back to even par. Had this started online. Not going to get all the way, so she will unfortunately be carrying that over par score for at least one more hole. Bounces once, bounces twice, and will leave the fairway at the par 5. Trade that wood off, but at least it's perched up in the rough instead of being all that buried. Off her bogey, she gets back on track with the par 12, Lee Seung-yeon. Tied for 21st last week. Her second best round of the tournament coming on the championship Sunday, 69. And Sunggaon, it is a 2-putt par. Stand corrected, her 29.49 is the third best putting average on tour. Another good example of it there. She navigates this 10th well. And Yoo-hae Ran, just a short one. Bottom of the cup, that goes.
방금 센터로 들어간 거 맞지? 그래?
Bung Min-ji in the field again this week, so Yoo-hae Ran will have an opportunity to put together a good tournament and close down the deficits she is chasing, only leading the LF Hazes point standings at this point in the season so far. We'll of course get a full update on that a little bit later, but we have reached our first commercial break of the broadcast, and nobody really able to escape that 3-under score, which is highly populating our leaderboard with just 20 minutes in the books. Our round 1 of 3 coverage here at the Hoban Seoul Shinmun Classic at H1. Well, there are only 3 par 5s on the course, this 490-meter one. With a right green today and a back right pin placement. Bringing that top right sand trap into play. Definitely don't want to be middle right. That'll take you right off the green. Some nasty slope at the back left as well. EA1 will be the first to tee off. Third highest driving accuracy on tour, 82.4%. And for her age, in a pretty good spot in terms of the driving distance. The power will come. That's another nice one. Right into the left side of the fairway. Go slightly awry off to the left for Yoo-hae Ran. Similar to where we find Jian Seoul here, just off to the left of the fairway at 12. It's 125 meters out. 74% greens in regulation. She's been reaching the green relatively consistently. That's not gonna help to inflate that number, as again we see another person go long here. That is just going to stay on and only be about 3.5, 4 meters for birdie. An uphill putt will make that a bit trickier though. It's Kim Soo-ji playing her second. That will work out just wonderfully. Nice and close. Well, cloudy day here at H1. Currently 26 degrees out on course. Not much consistent rain throughout the day. There's been the chance on and off, but not expected to see really any of it until perhaps late tomorrow afternoon into Sunday, which could make the final round a lot more playable. The wind behaves. Beautiful look into the mountains here in Icheon, and now we will reach that commercial break. Back in a moment. Our round one coverage will continue. Well, a conservative shot at the par 5, just an iron over the elbow of the dog leg and advancing steadily from EA1. Hoban Seoul, after finding a little bit too much extra pace on the approach, she's going to get a great little kick back online within a meter. Wedge game nearly unmatched in this tour. So many shots this season we've seen her pull from deep in her bag of tricks. And a birdie at the 11th. Now birdie, bogey, birdie, and right back on track. Young 2. It's always a bit of a deflating one when you reach the midway mark and you're dropping a shot, but best way to kickstart the back 9 is with a birdie. One under after that nice approach. Should come awfully close. After quite the approach shot. Putter lets her down a little bit as we head back to 11. 250 for Yue Ran, her second. Basically extends that fairway herself as she tries to reach again in 2. Nice birdie as well for Dayon, her first of the day, coming at number 12. Just a couple of weeks ago, she was finding herself with the 5th lowest average round on tour of everyone that is taken to the LPGA this season. Now EA1, after laying up with the iron, she will attack this green, was hoping for some backspin to keep her planted. She'll roll down into the rough, though, at the ribbon behind the fringe at this right green. Well, I just told you that we had almost no rain in the forecast just before commercial break. Refresh the weather report and it's still saying, no, we should stay dry today. Well, Mother Nature has other ideas as the skies are opening up here in Icheon. To 13, Oh Ji-hyun to get back to even par. There was some left to right action on that, and it breezes by the outside of the green. So she will stay at 1 over, heading to the 14th. 2 birdies at 6 and 7, but a third bogey at the second to last now, and she'll try and find some cover on her way to the 15th tee. Left with less than 60 meters for Yue Ran. bit of a pitch up out of the rough. Keeps herself well above the hole. Just a short putt, all that is remaining here. A little right to left, not a problem. Another par for Lee Seung-yeon. Back up from EA1, about 2 meters of a roll back beyond the pin towards the middle of the green as we head to 12, fresh off the birdie. Hong Jin-young 2, 145. That is a big swing as she tries to make it all the way out from the rough to the left of the fairway down to the green, but comes up significantly short, is found the rough again. Now tracking down the shots thus far at 15. 202 meters off the tee, 129 meters to go. Right over the sand trap on the right green today. Just slightly less than middle of the depth of this 34-yard long green on the right side, and Park Ji-young has found the left. Will straighten out to be a bit more central, but that will still be a tough putt. We'll hit with a lot of pace and going to nearly find the fringe again for Yoo Hae-ran. That was a brilliant shot indeed, using the wind as her ally just a few short centimeters away, and after finally breaking through, that stubborn run of Park Ji-young is on for what should be back-to-back birds. Now Sung-gaeun, this looks like it's got a shot. Down it goes, back to even. First birdie of the day, and she had to work for that one. Tricky spot for the stick today at the par 3 at the very back left, and getting it pin high. Back towards the other green she'll be putting next, as Yuhei Ran's troubles here have been increased significantly as she sails that par effort well wide to the right. From there up to 12, Jin Young 2. We'll get that to land and stay about midway through. She'll have a uphill putt back towards the front edge of the green next. We'll see that momentarily. In the meantime, EA1 trying to salvage a par. Skirting by the ball marker of Yuhei Ran and in. She's been battling for so long to break through 3 under and hit 4 under for the first time, but instead she has a bogey at 11. And for Yuhei Ran, that is her second time over par today. She also had a bogey at the par 3/8. Let's get the scouting report on number 12 today. 355-meter par 4. Proper dog leg to the right with the 3 pot bunkers on the left side of the fairway around the landing zone. That is 210 meters from the tee. From there, less than 100 meters. And heading to the right side green, which will bring that 4th and final bunker perhaps into play today. Pin placement in this first round, extreme front right. 7 yards off the front, just 3 yards from the right side fringe. And it has been that location of the flagstick today that has not been conducive to birdies. Only 8 of them, in fact, 23 bogeys or worse. Par has been the bang average score here. Going back at even, fresh off her birdie, has the honors of the first tee shot. And as you might expect, she calmly places that in a lovely spot in the first cut. 1. She is on pace for a 69 today, though she does have the holes to make up some more birdies. Finds herself in a tie with Unina, also with this score inside the top 10 again. So some troubles with driver today, only 33% in regulation, well down from what we've come to learn from her. No such issues here at number 12, though. Well, Yue Ran is not sure where this is going to end up. Asking her caddy out loud, what do you think? Because she certainly wasn't confident with it. And the walk is on. And Seoul once again putting from the front. She had the club up in preparation to celebrate. And a last minute twitch off of the line keeps her out for birdie. She expected to be walking off this green with a birdie, not to be. She is still stuck at 3 under, and she shakes her head in a bit of disbelief as she exits the green. Park Young, she will see that ball dive to the inside on her look for birdie. Suji also surprised that she was not able to get that to drop. Felt improbable, and it proved to be a tricky one after all. So the ups and the downs continue. Stitching a couple of bogeys back to back now. Short tap bit. Easy to track down that lime green putting grip for Lee Dae-yeon, and it is back-to-back birdies. Other end of the spectrum for her. The sand kept out of play, but that is borderline sliced into the rough. And that is not going to be a kind lie when she gets there. Go back to 14, Soon Yeon trying to get her birdie back.
Nice
She has, drops to her knees. Bit of a hope and a prayer that it would snap back online, and it does. Returns her to 2 under par. I was going to pick up and take all kinds of speed for Yuhei Ran all the way down. That's much more on the money from EA1. Hear the wind in behind the green start to pick up. It's not all that bad, despite technically not being on the green of this par 3. Suji will be the next to play. It's pretty good out from a tricky spot for Sunggaon. Kim Suji is ready at 14. Less than 3 feet away from an ace. It never really felt on, but it does feel a whole lot like a birdie. Yuhei Ran would need to hole out from here to be able to mimic that score. I don't think this is going to have nearly the speed. Not impossible, more improbable than probable, as her cold streak looks like it's going to carry over for another hole Yuhei Ran after the bogey. Seven iron for Hoban Seoul. Got on the line it needed to. She was cognizant of the wind. Took a little bit off of it. See if VA1 has a birdie here to get to 4 under and take the top spot of the rookies out there today. Looks good. Doesn't sound good though, it's short. So it does take 2 putts. (16) 555 meters. The longest of the 4 par 4s is 607-yard hole. There aren't many players that will be able to benefit from the little extra yardage here. We'll see what Young can do. It's 140 meters still after 2 shots, and needs to get up onto the green as well. Lands like a trampoline and caroms off the back. That's a great vantage point from the back of the green looking down. You can see just how significant of a step it is, just to make matters more complicated when you consider just how long that 16th is. Lee Seung-yeon. Didn't even want to consider meeting that sand. She goes safely to the back. Now Yuhei Ran trying to salvage a par. Otherwise she's going down another stroke. I think she's right, and she is. Just moves away in the final moments of that putt, and it will be back-to-back bogeys. We saw her do this a little bit last week. She was able to put together a 64 in the final round to climb 25 spots, but she was 2 over par by the end of day 1. And this is just a 3-round event, so she won't quite have the luxury of more time once she discovers that form. And this one struck with too much pace as it hits the back lip and pops right on out for Jian Seoul. To 12, Song Gaeun trying to avoid joining that bogey brigade, and she does with a nice putt. Would not have been a very nice feeling to have finally found your birdie only to lose it the next hole. Lee Dae-yeon trying to go 3 for 3, a 4-meter putt from the fringe that was well underneath the cup. The 4th shot here at 16 from Park Hyung-young. Skims that through the fringe. Nearly got it back online. Just a couple of inches to the left, otherwise she might have been able to pin that flag and have it drop in the end. Those two they're always in conversation. There's 2 of the most vocal golfer caddy duos out there, but they were trying to figure out what went awry with that approach shot, and it cost her a birdie. They're able to get her par at 14, Lee Dae-yeon. essentially trading places with Yuhei Ran these past 10 to 15 minutes. Well, another one that carries just a little bit too much pace, gets to the back and shoots on out. Tough break for Lee Seung-yeon. Kim Soo-ji nearly an ace. Really happy with the bird, her third since the 9th hole. She is at 2 under. From the tee block to the rough, off the left side of the fairway for our #1 rookie on tour. Hear that zip. And Yuhei Ran, that is a better start. Nicely settled into the fairway, but she needs a birdie in a bad way just to break the slump. Well, an early birdie in the round at 3, and over a dozen holes later, she has finally found another. You can see the ear-to-ear smile on Jung Jung-mi's face. Be a bit more somber at 16 if Pak Young-young is unable to connect here on par, but this should be in her wheelhouse. Little right to left, subtle movement, but it is enough. However, 5 consecutive holes without a birdie, her longest stretch of the day.
걸어가?
괜찮습니다.
Well, that will be where all the action is had on Sunday. You can see the putting green still alive with some of the early finishers just trying to sort out a few things. It remains Lee Jae-young's tournament to lose. A 9 under round of 63 in day 1. Would be absolutely shocked if that's not a course record. A brilliant round she had and a comfortable advantage atop the leaderboard here at the H1 Club. Well, this is how the LFASI's point standings look entering this weekend. Some movement, though it is subtle across the board, top to bottom, where there are a few players trading places, but not a ton of substantial movement all in. UA Ran was able to eclipse Peng Min-ji, has now a 310-point cushion. Jihan Seoul stayed in third. Park Ji-young in EA1, swapping fourth and fifth. Song Gaeun up 2 spots. She continues a pretty good run of form. Im Jinhee drops a pair, and Lee So-mi climbs up 2 spots to number 10. And we'll go to the final par 3 now at 17 with Park Young-kyung. Well, that'll screech to a halt. Keeps herself within range of a birdie, but she'll have to earn that one. Oh, yeah, one out of the rough. The rough down the green through the fringe and in that little fairway area at the back of the green. Only one slightly off the green, with everyone hovering around 200 meters off the tee over at the 15th. This is Lee Dae-yeon. She will be able to reach, though she is only just onto the green. Suji, 64% she's averaging for her GIR. And that'll work out absolutely brilliantly. Jihan Seoul's turn to approach from the left side of the fairway. Starts to tail over towards the right side. Feels like that's verging on 10 meters, though, that she'll have to try and make up. Oh yeah, one from off the back. Needs this to slow down in a hurry. She goes to the other side. Not quite to plan. Well, as much as it wouldn't have been quite as comfortable for everyone to be playing under the rain, it would definitely soften these greens up, and I think many people would be relieved by that. They're playing incredibly firm at the moment. Yuhei Ren rolls that through the inside and will leave just about 1.5 meters for a par, which she will happily take at this point just to get back away from those bogeys. A 50% one-putt success rate this year has been brilliant for. He's going to go to the right side. Haven't seen her make a whole lot of noise since we came on the air. Still at 3 under par. Dayan close to what would have been a third birdie in the past handful of holes. Just a little tap in par. Just the slightest of touches. Had a pretty good feel for it, though it does come up short for EA1. So first bogey of the day. 5 to go and dropping a shot, just as we've seen Yuhei Ran do. Limping to the finish line are many of the players at the moment. And now Hoban Seoul, this looks to the inside, still moving away. Two-putt par for Hoban Seoul. Yuhei Ran finally with a par. Back to it and correcting the course a touch here. Heading to number 14. Slow right to left for Kim Soo-ji and a bird. Back to back now, up to 3 under. It was a quiet first 8 holes. She was over par until the final hole before the turn. No dice on the first putt. Soo-yeon will be forced to mark off. Able to connect on the first par 3 of this back 9. The one after dropping a shot is up next. Calls for it to sit. Does not want to comply as that just dips to the inside and off the green.
네.
And par secured on 16. She will be right back onto the par 3s momentarily, down at 2 under par, 7 back. Lee Jae-young at 9 under par. Chaegao Ram a 6 under. An Ji-hyun and Cho Ae-yeon both with rounds of 67. Jin Sun, Yoo Hyo-ju, Im Jini, Park Ji-young, the other names on page 1 of the leaderboard as we are about an hour and a half remaining in our first round coverage of 3 here at this inaugural Hoban Seoul Shinmun Women's Classic at the H1 Club. As you were just reminded, the leading rookie on tour, EA1, and is in a bit of a perilous situation here. Makes the most out of that tricky line. Well, the fringe takes all the speed off of it, and that might just work out with how central, rather shallow, the pin placement is today. Let's go to 15. Puck down you for birdie. A little right to left from 3 meters out. And has just her second birdie of the day, and the first since the 6th hole as she finally is able to get under par. Now 5.8 meters for Yuhei Ran as she tries to make up for one of the bogeys she picked up on 12 and 13, but that's going to run out of speed in a hurry. Only 130 meters remain after the 202-meter opening shot from Baekhyun Gyung. Narrowly missing the fairway. She finds herself in the rough for this approach shot down to the green on 18. Aiming for the left green here at the final hole. She will use the left side. Could have benefited from a touch more carry, but she is on safely. And DA1. A short par secured after a nice save out of a rather difficult slope. Well, it's a par she needed. .16 with Hoban Seoul. That does not go well at all. Short and left in the very thick rough. Back to 17. It is narrowly inside of 10 meters. You can see how close her group mates were coming to their birds. Slight miss to the inside. She'll be trying to settle for par with her next. In the meantime, here's Kim Soo-ji playing her third of the par 5. Another one that is narrowly into the rough. An approach comes up short. Short tap and par. keeps Yi Soon-yeon at 2 under heading to the last. Over the tee with Yoo-Hae Ran at number 15. Oh for 2 down to that right side. It's hidden the fairway down beneath the bushes. And EA1 is going to go with the wood here off the tee. We are 0 for 3. Not a great start to this hole. Centimeters shy. Park Hyun-kyung at the last stage straight. On a look for one final birdie. 7 consecutive pars on the way, and after her final birdie at the 11th. That little rise will eat up a fair bit of the remaining speed. Will help Kim Soo-ji out, though it started off to the right, and that is where it stayed. Joining me at 18, looking for just 3 strokes on this final hole, but it is not to be. Quick reset for the par putt to finish her day. Batted, teed off this morning at 11:45. She finishes at 4:30. Quite a bit of action. 16 a bird, 17 a bogey, and then even Steven par at the end. Anxious moments for Ji-Yeon-sil as she was watching it navigate. Needed to get it up, had just enough to do so. That's not a bad effort from EA1. Slightly off to the left, but almost in the exact center of that green. Still some work to be done, as is the case for Lee Daeyeon, as she looks to get to 3 under. A little bit too stern on the release from the putter, and miss, well, it was to the outside. On 14. Another steady run of pars, for her. Once again, reminding why it's playing so difficult. You have a miss to the left, you have a miss to the right, and Pacquiao, who is on, but a while away. And Hoban Seoul was hoping to loop that back in. Offline, and she will be going down another stroke. Well, it is an approach from ENG. She is the closest to the lot. Now Pacquiao putting for birdie a long right to left. This is on line. That's a brilliant putt. It's not going to show for much, as that will just be a par in the end, but that is a really good effort. Off to 15 at 1 under.
슬라이스였다.
나는 9번이 맞을 것 같아. 정말? 일치 그냥 똑같이 보면 돼. 100일. 9번으로 우측으로.
다 쳐도 되죠?
다 쳐도 돼.
Let's see how Lee Seung-yeon is able to navigate this lie in the rough as she tries to get down and deep on the 18th. Bit of a cut towards the bleachers at the back of the green. And more than the distance she needed. Still next to no movement on the front page of the leaderboard. There are 4 players still out on course in a tie at 3 under par, but that is as close as anyone is getting today to Lee Jae-young at the lead, in the lead at a 63 in round number 1. Well, as we rejoin our featured group, unfortunately for EA1, it is the same old story on 15. Close, but not quite all the distance required to pick up a birdie. As we go to 17 next. 6 iron for Kim Soo-ji. Teeing off the final par 3. Again, heading to the right green here and a very front-heavy location. Had that been on the opposite side of the green, the right side rather than the left, that would have been near perfect. And 5.2 for Yuhei Ran, only 15% on average. Have these putts gone down this season? That number will increase slightly as Yuhei Ran finally back in the birdie column for the first time since the 9th hole. That is now 3 bogeys, excuse me, and 2 birdies in that stretch since number 8. Lee Daeon is next, electing for the 6 at 17. It is the longest par 3 of the lot. One will get through the fringe and sit up on the dance floor.
바람 살짝 있죠?
지금 슬라이스 조금 있어.
14% greens in regulation thus far this season, on an average 7.6 meters away from the hole. That is nearly outside of the top 50 for Hoban Seoul. She's going with 7. Lost her scorecard, that's how much rotation she had on that. She goes into a near perfect location. Would have loved a little bit more out of that fringe, but that's a really nice spot. And she retrieves the lost notebook. And a big smile. She has a brilliant tee shot. Decent little speed. Came down the hill back to the left a little quicker than Seung-yeon would have been hoping for. At 16, averaging 230 meters per drive, looking to put consecutive birdies together for the first time this round. It's a good start. Right down the center of the fairway. Seung-yeon's next. This is the hole that the slightly tamer driving distance might be impactful. Doesn't even get her typical accuracy as she misses to the right. A very tricky return to birdie potential out of that lie. She made a nice second shot with the wood to try and bomb it down the fairway, which is what EA1 is going to try and do with driver. 66% is her fairways in regulation thus far today, and she'll add another. Not as long as Yuhei Ran, but in a similar line down the middle. Young does have her 2-putt par. Finishes with 6 of 7 straight holes with the par and a birdie, excuse me, in there after a topsy-turvy opening to the back 9. A puck down you for birdie at 16 as well. This looks good. It is. Rattles on in. Back-to-back now and 2 under. Birdie bogey at 6 and 7. She was even at the turn and now has picked up a couple in consecutive holes. On a 15, 119 meters. That is the remaining yardage for Kim Hee-jun. That will work out swimmingly. And now Bakyal. 110 over the rough onto the green. Wanting this right. That's exquisite. Nearly saw our first eagle of our portion of the broadcast. A well-deserved ear-to-ear grin as we head back to 17. Kim Soo-ji putting first. 13 meters. Just to get back right, it starts to. Formidable putts. Well, 338. That is longer than most of the par 4s that they'd be teeing off on. The second shot for Sung Gaon out of the rough. Much better second shot. Much better. Rang glances down at the yardage as she gets set for her second, thinking, can I do this? Can I get in 2? Lee Daeon for birdie. This 2's promising. Bails out at the end, inside left. Came awfully close. Heading to the last. Still just those consecutive birdies having moved the needle. Daeon, this is moving pretty sharply to the right. Will narrowly stay out of the sand, but in that thick rough around it on its outside closest to the fairway. A pretty promising look for birdie at 17 for Jian Sol, 4.2. We'll also have a little bit of break back towards the middle of the screen. Her miss is outside. Tap and par, that's one she wants back. Was the effort from Yue Ran with a 5-wood. Unsurprisingly, she comes awfully close to reaching into strokes. The action on this leaderboard, it is, well, it's on the 3rd page, admittedly, though still in a tie for 9th. Kim Soo-ji, Kim Yi-an both out on course. The only 2 players closest to Lee Jae-young at 3 under par, and then we have almost a dozen at 2 under, down in the tie for 20th here as we near 5 p.m. local time in Icheon. Back right after this. Well, really the round of a lifetime for E.J. Young today. 10 birdies. If not for a bogey at 17, it would have been a 62 to open this tournament. Pretty remarkable considering she has only been in the prize money 4 times out of the 14 events she has played this season. 9 missed cuts. A withdrawal as well, a 35th, tied for 35th finish last week at the Ever College in Queen's Crown, and just absolutely dialed in today with that 9 under. It will be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to replicate that tomorrow. So anyone who can get even within 3 or 4 will fancy their odds heading into the final round. It is a short tournament. Those big gaps you can create in just one of these rounds can make quite the difference on the way in, and it would be another first-time winner should she hang on, especially with the fields beneath her in the leaderboard not really picking up much momentum on the way in here. The 16, 142 from the rough for EA1, and she will shoot the gap between the two greens and roll into that border of rough. Distance-wise, pretty good considering that tricky tall grass she had to contend with. If she's not careful, she'll be dropping another opposite problem for Bakiel here after a brilliant shot to leave her with just 2.5 meters. A short downhill putt for birdie. That is her first since the 5th hole. Also started the round with a birdie at number 1. This is UA Ran at 16. I was hoping that would stick on the green, but just way too much speed as it fell from the sky. It'll come to rest in that perimeter fringe. And now on 18, Hoban Seoul, after a missed opportunity at 17, playing 8-iron. 131 meters to go, steps out of her swing a little bit. Doesn't seem to have any negative consequences whatsoever. She is right on line. That'll be north of 9 meters in terms of what is left. She is in that pack of 15 players currently tied at 2 under. Dayan is there as well. Also 8 out of the bag, 124. Needing a bit more as this green sits 10 meters above their location here. Doesn't have much distance to make back up, but she will be playing her next out of the rough. Now Kim Soo-ji, 3 under. 9-iron as she only has 118 meters to go. She's been cooking since the 9th hole. Her first birdie of the round. She'd go back-to-back 9 and 10. 3 pars following that, and then back-to-back birdies at 14 and 15. She is currently 8th and last name in that top 8 in the season-long quest for the LFASI's point standings. Held her ground this week. Half of the top 10 had some turnover in it. Some movement at the bottom of the top 10. Imjini down 2 spots. Isomi up a pair. Song Gaon also up a couple of spots into 7th. And Pak Jiyoung and EA1 traded for 4th and 5th respectively, as did Yuhei Ran. Well, that'll run up absolutely lovely. Yeah, one will be more than satisfied with that. And Dayan, that is an unfortunate shot. Still leaves her with a fair bit of work to do. Ran also playing from the fringe. This is just gonna skirt to the right, but the weight was spot on. And a tap in to wrap up this par 5. Hoban Seoul back at 18, trying to end her day with the birdie that eluded her at the 17th. Be a little right to left for us, left to right for her, and she nails it. A big exhale and a beaming smile as she finishes this back 9 the same way she started it, and that is with a birdie. Lovely, lovely putt. To 16, Song Gaeun's got to get up the step. Hope she's online. You know, she is a, wow. On the verge. Outside, it just rolls over. Not the birdie that she would have loved, but she will take her par and move on to 17. Well, it straightens out at the last second for Kim Soo-ji, just not enough to roll on in. Now, Ye wanted to try and salvage a par at the par 5. No. Too quick, too much to the inside. Makes 3/4 of a revolution, stays out, and that is a bogey. That is the second since 13 after a bogey-free opening 9 that had 3 birdies in that little run as well. This is 17. Second to last hole of both the round and the lake course. Cart path separating the 2 greens, and we are headed to the right green today in round number 1. It is 179 meters, and the pin placement today is the bottom right or front right, depending on your perspective. 6 yards off the front, 6 yards from the right fringe in that deepest shade of blue. And as we've seen from the groups that have come through here already, the only real way to get this exceptionally close is to use the fringe as a stopper. But having said that, double-edged sword, make sure you have enough to get out of the fringe. Yue Ran will be the first to try. He's taking 6-iron out of the bag. It's a lot of club for a power hitter. Wonder if she's going for the conservative approach here. She is not, and she comes up short. Nice par to finish the day for Lee Dayan. Was hoping for a few more of those circles after going back-to-back at 12 and 13. another effort here at 17 that does not elude the rough, and things are teetering on the verge of collapse for Hidayan as her round continues. It's a pretty big weekend for golf around the world. There is, of course, the Evian Championship happening this week. That's why we're missing a couple of big names, some common figures like Bung Min-ji, who posted a 4-under in her first round. She's tied for 12th in the tournament, right up in the mix with Kim Yo-ju, who was tied for 4th at 6-under par. Other superstars that we see in a handful of these events, especially those that are co-sanctioned with the LPGA and the LPGA Tour of Korea. Anna Lean out there, Jay Jean out there this week as well. Lots on the line, whether it's in France, whether it's right here in the beautiful city of Icheon. Quick pause and we'll wrap up a few more rounds and get our featured group onto 18. Back in a moment to the H1 Club. Nearing the end of round one of the first Hoban Seoul Shinmun Women's Classic at the H1 Club. Yuhei Ran getting out of the rough up onto the green to set up what she will hope will be an uneventful and simple par putt. Nothing really uneventful and simple about this at 16, excuse me. Kim Hee-jun does a decent job with that, considering how awkward it was to set up for that shot. Comes down to the inside, she'll mark off. To 18, Pak Dan-yu. 2 under, playing her second 126 meters, 7 iron, her club selection. Drawing slightly back in line towards the flagpole and up nice and close.
좀 짧을 것 같은데.
This is EA1 on 17. Needs a good shot here, otherwise she is teetering on the verge of falling back to even. I'd say that'll classify as a good shot. Minimizes some of the potential fallout.
Get it. Get it.
I could hear the call hit it. Needed a little bit more power on it. Yue Ran has her par through 17 holes. One also slides in that very easy par putt in the end, and we'll shift her focus to the 18th. That is very nicely done for Pak Dan-yu. 3 birdies in her last 4 holes to finish the round with a 69, and that 33 helps propel her there after being even at the turn. Pacquiao teeing off at the 17th. Yuhei Ran, expressive as she watched that ball leave the face of her driver. Down towards the left side of the fairway, and something's got her tickled pretty good there. things aren't going to plan here at 18 for the other two not named Yuhei Ran. A1 sprays that one down to the left and once again has cut the workout for herself on her final hole of this first day of competition. I think we had 5 minutes of rain, but otherwise it has just been the clouds out there, keeping the beating sun off of the field in Ichun. Weather is tracking for a mix of clouds and rain again tomorrow, 1 to 3 millimeters. Sunday is when things will get very interesting with up to 10 millimeters of rain in the forecast for the final day. And had we began this tournament next week, it would have been clear skies across the course, but 8 millimeters of rainfall throughout the day today. Songaon out of the sand and short of the green. It's going to be a very fine line to try and run here for EA1. She missed left, and left is where she wants to stay. 130, just over that mark. Lower ball flight, she's going to pop up and will run up onto the green, but well short. Some pressure on that putt as she does not want to drop back down to even to end the day. To 15, Jay Ream, the penultimate group. Tied for the lowest score of those still remaining out on course. The exception being Kim Yan, who teed off at number 10 today. She is just about finished her round, putting at number 9. If she grabs a birdie, that'll vault her pretty good up into 4 under. Pacing herself up, she's got the wedge in hand, ready to rock and roll. Yuhei Ran's going to need a wedge of her own here. It's only about 6 meters really for Yuhei Ran, and if not for that rough, she could probably consider putting this up. She'll have a chance to catch her breath while she waits for the others to play their third shots. If I had to guess here, I'd say 58 degree is the club. She's 33 meters out from the rough, trying to get herself in close and avoid falling to over par. But she needs a good shot here. That's not nearly good enough. She'll know it. It's a very long look at par. She's had some good putts. She's a great putter. But even this might be a bit too tall of a task. Back to 18 in a moment. In the meantime, we'll go to 17. Pacquiao playing her second. Run this along the fringe. Give yourself a chance. That's unbelievable touch. Centimeters shy, and very excitable fan thought that that was going to keep on going and in. Indecisive on the club selection as Yuhei ran here. That's the look. It's 3/4 of the way into that third cut. Six meters even. Just punches it into the fringe. Would have liked it to keep on rolling. It was right on line. Tricky technique, but she makes it look rather simple. There's Che Ream at 15 out of the rough. High pitch up. Nearly perfectly on the money. That is an exceptionally well-struck ball. Well, the last hope for birdie belongs to EA1. Can't shortchange this. Starts it on its left to right journey, not nearly enough to the outside left. That's still not an automatic par save there. She'll wait for Sung Gaun's par effort, and we will see her try and finish with a par. Needs this, otherwise she's going to finish with at least a 73 today. Oh, it's another great one. Like a laser, she sorts that line out. Carries a bit too much speed, and that prevents her from holding out with her 72nd shot of the day. So it is a 73 in the opening round. Bogeys at 8 and 18. Her lone birdie coming at number 11. She'll head to the clubhouse with a share of 64th.
처음에는 없고 처음에 수리한 두 보트 있는 대절부터 조금 보시면 될 것 같아요.
She's already had 2 bogeys on this back nine. A third would undo all the good work she had in that brilliant little run from the 4th to the 7th. Right to left from our vantage point, probably needs to start this a solid foot to her inside of the hole as she tries to save par. She gives herself very little room for error, but she is able to step up when she needed it the most. If that's even hit a little bit harder, she is so close to that outside edge, it's probably staying out, but she had enough. Tied for 33rd as she exits the course. And Yuhei Ran,
진짜
who
바로인데 바로에서 있다면 나는 저쪽이 맞는
been a little bit up and down today as well.
딱 섰을 때 홀컵쪽이 이쪽이
Found
높이네,
a
이쪽이. 저 느낌이
birdie at
맞네.
15. That was her first since the 9th hole. Also had birds at 2, 5, and 6, but bogeys 8, 11, and 12. Needs this for par. It is a round of 70
나이스 파.
this opening round Friday.
세.
Just outside the top 20. An 11-way tie for 22nd. In with 37
보냈다.
to wrap up her opening round here. We'll definitely be able to see some of the round tomorrow for AJ Young, and we'll be able to try and figure out if she can even have what she did today. Get her to 13 under. She will be absolutely laughing heading into the final round on Sunday. Just a couple dozen players remain scattered about the H1 club. Take another quick break and then shift our focus from our featured group to Pakiel's squad, currently working on 18 right now, and a few more players coming through 17 as well, that par 3. Quick break, then right back out to the H1 club. A look at Unina's round, the champion last week at the Ever College Queen's crown. And she certainly donned that crown by the end of it last week. So 3 under today. Some ups, some downs. Good enough to be back inside the top 10 at the end of this first round, playing in a group with Jiyoung and Imi Jung, who she saw much of last week, especially Park Jiyoung. They were in a good battle. She'd have her number by 1 stroke by the end. Was on number 5, a good par save, and then back to absolutely crushing drives. It is absolutely unbelievable how much strength the rookie has with that club. Found herself in some trouble though, going back to the wood nearly at the sprinkler head and trying to catch that cleanly. Would go beyond the fairway, found herself in a bit of tall grass between the fairway and the green. That would set her up for this little flop, and things just were not going her way on this hole. Would finally make her way to the green, but still, this par 5 she navigated like it was nothing, and then this for birdie would narrowly stay to the outside right. But despite taking perhaps the most unconventional path on a par 5 ever, she would still get her par at number 6. Even a unbelievable amount of power when she's going with wood instead of driver out into the fairway. And then from there at 7, high lofted shot. She does get the backspin to keep it right in place. That was a trio of good second shots at number 7 from Park Ji-young, and Imi Jung. Then this for birdie. So much movement on this, a little bit too much in the end as it drops off to the inside. Would be 3 consecutive holes with par after going back-to-back birdies, 3 and 4. She would finally get back to the birdie column at number 8, however. 163-yard par 3. Again, nice delicate touch with the iron, and when she traded that in for the putter, she made this left to right putt work brilliantly. Down it would go, move her up to 3 under for that back 9 coming in, and then on 9 looking for one more, wrapping up her round with a par 5. Would head to the left side of the fairway from there. Use that wood again, a powerful low line drive, but then she got herself into trouble that was nearly compounded by the fact that the tree was right in the way. It's a very awkward chop at it, almost like it's a sword, trying to get underneath it enough to lift it. Would take her from the rough to the second fringe, if you would. Nearly was able to hole out. This puts it a 1.5 feet away. She would tap in for her par. And come in with a 33 after going out with a 36 even, and she would finish in a tie for 9th position. So the first time winner last week in the hunt again this week inside the top 10 with a good first round. Park Ji-young with a 68. She too had a brilliant first 9 stretch with 5 birdies. She came in with a 31. More on the round, 245 meters, the average driving distance, 7 of 14 fairways in regulation. That's about average from what we've seen from her this year. 83% greens in regulation and 1.67 putts per hole. Back out to 18. The red-vested Kangyerin is a little bit extra giddy up and go after it lands on the green. Didn't do herself, many favors with that one. She'll go the long way around as to not disturb the line and mark off. The only one in this trio at even. Her partners both at 2 under. Important chip here for Kim Hee-jun. I take it back, she must have switched for putter, had some doubts. I think in retrospect, she probably would have wished she kept the wedge. Her partner had the opposite problem, going a little bit too long. She keeps that a bit too shallow. Now Pacquiao trying to pick out the break point.
여기 와서는 거의 스트레이트.
Well, the long birdie putt. Be a brilliant finish if she could get it there.
Go.
Just gonna move too much to the outside despite snaking its way serpentine style back towards the cup, but the movement comes at the very end, so she'll settle for par. It's a round of 70 as well. Birdies 15, 5, and 1, a bogey at 7. As we wait for her to step up and take this putt, the points, money, and rookie leaderboards scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Pang Min-ji, Lee Mi-jung, Chanana, Park Young-kyung, and Lee So-mi were the top 5 last year. It's a nice par save. Nicely done. Kang Ye-rin. Bogey 17, 10, birdies 13 and 5. This year, however, it looks a little bit different, that top 5, at least through 15 events this season. Doesn't look any different at the top. Pang Min-ji continues to lead. Yuhei Ran, 19 points back. Park Ji-young 3rd. Chien Sul 4th. Kim Soo-ji 5th. the money. Pugman-G with a 145 million won cushion over Park Ji-young, who after last week's finish is over the $500 million threshold. Amy Jung, 457 million. Yuhei Ran, 451. Uni Na, a massive payday, 144 million for winning the tournament last week, moves into 5th. And then the rookies, EA1, who we saw a bunch of today, 142 points clear of Uni Na. And Mata Som, Kwon So-yeon, and Kuchiu round out the top 5 in the rookies. June also trying to find her par, and she does. Good save. Birdie 6 and 7, all pars before and after that back-to-back run she put together, and this group will bid their farewells, head inside and sign those scorecards. And before we say goodbye, we'll run through some of the opening round highlights, and we'll begin on the 5th hole. Park Ji-young for birdie. At this point, had just been 1 under par, right to left, into the wind, up the hill, no problem, sorts it all out. And Imi Jung averaging 1.64 putts per hole. Right to left, and then left to right on the way in. Does very well for her second birdie of the day, also at number 5. And then on 7, Im Ji-ni, playing her third at 2 under at the moment, until she would change that. Like she's pulling it in with her putter, as if she had a magnet, Bugs Bunny style on the way. You can see a ton of circles and a fair amount of squares as well on that scorecard. An eventful day. To 8, Cho Ayeon. Another one where it's just a little tap to get it started. Left to right and all the way in. Her third birdie in 4 holes with that very impressive putt. And then Park Ji-young, this was the last bit of movement from her at number 7. This is a great vantage point of the break. Starts it right and swoops its way back in and down. She would finish at that score. 3 under would be a 69, as she would have a mostly uneventful finish to the round. To 9, Cho Ayeon playing her third at the par 5. Get that nice and close, tucking it in within 4 feet of the hole. Make short work of that would move her to 5 under par, and a tie for third with An Ji-hyun with a 67 in the opening round. Uni Na saw this just a couple of minutes ago. An impressive birdie of her own. Another one where the break is late, and it is brilliant to watch. Artistry with the putter. Her third birdie at that point of her back 9. And then we go to number 9. Park Ji-young, I spoke too soon. There would be one more. 64, tied for 5th as she gets this to wedge itself between the flagstick and drop. 68, tied for 5th. Imi Jung looking for a birdie of her own and getting a birdie of her own in that log jam. And a tie at 3 under par from tied for 9th all the way down to 13 more golfers at that score. Saw some of this. Yuhei Ran, one of her best, into the wind and reeling that into a halt. Would be pretty simple from then on in. To 7, EA1 from the rough. Bit of a half swing and caroming from the right mist of the green. Back on line, nice and close. Good to be lucky, lucky to be good, and enjoying that 1.2 meter putt for par. It was just before we came on the air. And then Park Young for birdie, a long one. Starting this putt above the hole and watching it coast in. Would take her to 3 under, and it would be pretty quiet from there as she would finish at that same score. To 14, 7-iron Kim Soo-ji. She's been one of the best all season long on these par 3s and would have another example of why that is the case. Figuring out exactly how to attack This green would leave her with a very short birdie. Simple as you like, easy, done to 2 under. On 15, another nice approach, this from just off the left side of the fairway. Lifts it up wonderfully. Watch that land in the perfect spot to roll on over, extinguish its speed, and sit up for another short finish. Some degree of difficulty on this, a little right to left, but celebrates a successful finish. That would take her to 3 under. She would finish the day at 3 under as well. 18, Hoban Seoul, saving one of her best holes for the very end. Lots of speed on it, definitely needed that flag to slow it down, had just enough to stay in the cup. Surprise, surprise, 3 under for her as well. Well, it is great to be back at the H1 Club. Absolutely stunning. Would love for some clear skies. Now to the forecast, should have another cloudy and rainy day tomorrow, and then Sunday will be probably the worst weather day when we crown a champion for the first time at this event. And might it be another first-time champion with E.J. Young's brilliant round of 63 after missing 9 cuts to start the season. She put some confidence together last week, a tied for 35th finish, and she has a comfortable 3-stroke cushion over Che Gauram after 18 of 54 holes played here. We already discussed the massive tie, 14 players now tied for 9th at 3 under par. Lee Daeyeon back-to-back birdies in her round. Pakiel had a few nice ones as well. You'll see Yuhei ran at that 70 score in the tie for 23rd. If there's 14 tied for 9th, well, there is another nearly dozen tied at 2 under. So with the exception of a couple of players out there today, nobody quite had a read of this H1 Club here in Icheon quite like our leader, E.J. Young, and it'll be very curious to see how she tries to build off of that tomorrow. Back on the air in the afternoon. Looking forward to having you back for round number 2. On behalf of the entire SBS Golf crew, I've been Adam Jenkins signing off from my Toronto, Ontario, Canada studios, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we go to moving day here at the inaugural Hoban Seoul Shinmun Women's Classic from the H1 Club. So long for now.